Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Amadai TV, More Than Meets the Third Eye. Okay, so this is going to be part two from the video I did the other day about creating your own reality with your thoughts. I told you all that I was going to do a second half for the members. Okay, the first portion was for everyone. So I apologize for being late. I actually thought that I was getting done early, only to find out that I didn't add one single picture to the PowerPoint. Okay? I didn't add one single picture to the PowerPoint, so I had to go back and add pictures to the PowerPoint, okay? Because y'all know I love my PowerPoints. All right, and they have to be on point. No pun intended. Okay, so hello, Claudette. Mr. Hotel Hyundai is in the house. Reggie said, slap the like button. That's right. You tell him, Reggie. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Everyone get the likes up. Hey, Nessa X is in the house. Okay, Claudette. Mr. Hotel says, shout out to our esoteric philosopher. All right. I see you, Khalid Herleen. Okay, Kathy B is in the house. So with that all being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hey, Gina. Okay, and so there is another broadcast that's going to start. I believe I scheduled it for 7 o'clock. It's going to be good. I scheduled it for 7 o'clock. I haven't sent out the notifications yet. I'll do that after this broadcast, okay? Let me see what time I scheduled it for just to be sure. It's going to premiere at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is meditation is essential for your spiritual well-being and how your chakras play a role. Okay, so you don't want to miss that starting at 7:15 this evening. If you can't catch the premiere, you can always watch it on the replay. All right, so anyway, with that all being said, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this PowerPoint. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you. Well, you can't share because it's for members only, but you can like. You can hit that like button. Okay, thank you in advance. Okay, here we go. Creating your reality, part 2. Now, we're taught to create or manifest, or I'm sorry, we aren't taught. We are not taught to create or manifest what we want in school or in church. You know, when we're kids growing up in school, they don't tell us anything about manifesting our destiny, about creating our own reality. The thing that I was always told is that perception is reality. Now, that's true because people see things a myriad of different ways. I may see the glass is half full. Someone else could see it as half empty. It's just about perception. So we know that perception is reality, but no one ever really taught us in our youth and through in high school. Most of us were not taught that we can create our own reality by our thoughts and our actions. And we specifically weren't taught these things in school or church, okay? And there's a very good reason for that, which I'll get into momentarily. So later in life, we figure this out usually by information that we happen to come across. Let me correct my typo. Okay, that we come across. Now, maybe you read it in books. Perhaps you met someone into spirituality or you heard them speak. But the powers that shouldn't be purposely hide this information from us. You see, they don't want us to be awakened. They want us to stay trapped in the matrix. It's impossible to control free thinkers who have full knowledge of the power of I am and of self-awareness. You see, when people know the essence of who they are and the power that they have, that is their birthright, that comes from within. When they're able to tap into their inner selves and unleash their superpowers, their spiritual powers, it's very hard to control these types of people. You see, that's why they want to keep society dumbed down with foolish things on TV. They call it programming, television programming, and all of those things. That's why they want to, legalize alcohol, but marijuana was illegal for all those years. But now they have it for medicinal purposes in some cases, and they also have dispensaries. Okay, have you ever heard of anyone getting into a bar fight and going off because they smoked marijuana? But you have heard of people doing that when they drink alcohol. Okay, let's not forget, alcohol comes from the Arabic word alcohol, which is a demon. Okay, we also know that alcohol brings on spirits. That's why liquor stores are often called spirits. Okay, so anyway, I don't want to get too far off track. Now, those in charge need us as worker bees. That's why in school they teach you to prepare for college and getting a job. They don't encourage entrepreneurship. They don't let you know that you can manifest your dreams or dictate your own destiny. That's what they don't do. And even back when I was going to school, they used to have shop class. And in shop class, they would teach you about mechanics, about working on cars. They would teach you how to build things like carpentry. They would teach you about, working on air conditioning units and things like that, and electrical work. All those things were taught. But see, they stopped all of that. They even at one point had cosmetology in school. You could learn that for free. But they stopped all of that and decided, hey, why would we teach them this for free? We can charge them for it. Okay, they can have to go to trade school and learn these things. And also because many people were learning these things in high school and they didn't go to college, they just started their own businesses right out of high school. Because that made a lot of people self-sufficient and made them, gave them the opportunity to be their own bosses and not to have to go work for somebody else. Well, so they cut all that out real quick. And that's also why college is so expensive too. College is so expensive on purpose to keep you in a never-ending perpetual cycle of debt. I remember when I heard Michelle Obama say that she and Barack still owed, I think they said it took them like 11 years to pay off their college debt, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. It was real crazy. But so yeah, this is all by design. We become adults and we simply go to work at jobs that we often hate. We work for bosses that we can't stand, get paid less than we feel we deserve. We deal with annoying coworkers. This makes us stressed and irritable, and we dread even going to work. And remember, the word job in Hebrew means persecuted, just like Job in the Bible was persecuted. And so very often that's how you feel. You're going to a job that may be a dead-end job. You can't get a promotion. Everybody's all on your nerves. The boss is making too many demands, always nitpicking, trying to micromanage. It's always something, and you just don't feel like going there, right? This can cause sickness and disease because we sometimes feel, we work jobs that make us feel uneasy. Sometimes we work these jobs for years and they eventually start to kill our spirits. And that's when you have a problem. You see, when you're doing something on a perpetual cycle that starts to kill one's spirit, hold on. Queen, share your screen. We can't see it. I am so sorry. How did I not share the screen? And I'm just going on and on. I am so sorry. Thank God I stopped and took a breather to look at the chats. I would have just done the whole thing. This is all so nefarious. Hold on. I'm going to go back through the slides since I did that. That's all so nefarious. Reggie said you were PowerPointing. I'm sorry, beloveds. Okay, let me try this again. How many slides have I covered? Not that many. So I'm going to go back to the first one. Okay, this is the one where I said, we're not taught to create or manifest what we want in school or church. Later in life, we figure it all out, usually by information that we just come across. We may run into someone who's on their spiritual journey and they've already started to awaken to these things, and then they start teaching us about it. Maybe that's how we find the information. Or maybe we just start getting curious and we start reading books. Now, since we have the internet, though, a lot more people are waking up, pay attention, because social media is one of the best ways to gather and to give information. And the thing is, when social media first came out, that's not what it was for. That is absolutely not what it was for. You see, social media was invented, pay attention, to distract us. It was purposely made to be addictive. And we'll talk about that a bit more. But so that's the gist of it. We're not taught in Sunday school, church, in high school, or none of that. We're not taught to be free thinkers. We're taught to do what we're told, and they even teach us how to think and how to behave. They don't give us the freedom of choice. They don't tell us about entrepreneurship. They don't tell us how you can tap into your inner selves and the energy that's within, your Christ-like energy, God-like energy that raises you into your higher self. They don't tell you any of those things in school because they don't want you to know. Because they want you to be a worker bee. Work for someone, work a job all your life, get your check, and then when you get old enough, you retire. That's what they want to perpetuate. And this is the one where I talked about us being worker bees and not knowing that we can manifest our own dreams and destinies. Now, here's where we are. And so you see the lady sitting at the desk looking so forlorn and basically holding up a help sign. Pay attention. And so we become adults and we simply go to work at jobs that we often hate. Work for bosses we can't stand, get paid less than we feel we deserve. We deal with annoying coworkers, and this makes us stressed and irritable. And then we sometimes dread going to work. And like I said, this is something that can absolutely kill your spirits. Just think about it. You go to a job every day for approximately 8 hours a day. 40 hours a week. That's a whole lot of time to be dedicated, allocated to something that you don't like. When you have to do something every day that you don't like just so you can make ends meet and pay a bill, can you think about how taxing that can be on your spirituality, on your mental health, your physical health? That's all crazy, but this is all by design. Now, society, or as I like to call it, the matrix, is powered by your life force energy. Your fear and cortisol, which is the hormone that's released when we experience stress. Now, this makes us feed into the system. You see, we people are depressed or stressed, or when people are depressed or stressed, they tend to engage in unhealthy or irresponsible practices. Some people overeat when they're depressed or when they're stressed out. Others may go out and do something like impulse shopping, to make themselves feel better, go to the bar and say, oh, I need a drink. That's how alcoholism starts. I'm not saying that if you go have a drink, you're going to be alcoholic. But what I'm saying is people who overdrink, this is how it all starts. They start drinking to mask certain issues that they may be going through and experiencing. Not the social drinker who may have one at a birthday party, a Christmas gathering, a holiday, or whatever. No, people who tend to say, oh, I don't feel so good. I had a rough day, honey. I need a drink. Well, those are the kind of people, in my opinion, that usually tend to become over drinkers. Not saying that will make you, I want to make this clear. I'm not saying that will lead you to be an alcoholic or over drinker. What I'm saying is those who actually are alcoholics, usually, from my experience with dealing with people, those are usually the people who didn't just drink for social, like a dinner or something like that, but usually people who would do it to make themselves feel better because they were going through something. And see, that starts a problem because sometimes these people start to lean on it as a crutch. And then they start later finding out or feeling like they can't get through the day without having a drink when they have a bad day. And the more bad days you have, the more they start to drink. That's all I'm saying. Okay. But what we should always remember is that when you're going through things in life, drinking, doing recreational drugs and things like that, overeating, stressing yourself out, none of that is going to fix the problem. See, you can do certain things to try to escape reality. I was speaking to someone once a few years ago who had a problem with drugs. And I was trying to help them with that because I have experience, in drug and alcohol counseling. Okay. So I was trying to counsel them on why they had substance abuse issues and trying to tell them how they could get help or what they could do to help themselves. And I first asked them, why did you ever start doing drugs? And they told me that basically it was because they wanted to escape reality. And I said, that's what I figured. That's why many people do it. But at the end, not people that are out partying, but people who do it very often and get addicted, just like I just told you, are people who are trying to escape reality or get over something that they're going through. And that's never going to fix it. You may escape reality while you're in that high or while you're drunk. But once that wears off, reality is still sitting there, staring you in the face. So what are you going to do? Drink and do drugs every day? Well, that's what some of them do. And that's the problem. Okay? So just think about that. Now, the Matrix society is powered by your life force energy, your fear and cortisol, the hormone that's released when we experience stress. This makes us feed into the system. You see, when people are, let me change this. I'm sorry, I have to correct these typos. It's so annoying. Okay, when people are depressed or stressed, they tend to engage in unhealthy or irresponsible practices. Some people overeat when they're depressed. Others may do impulse shopping to make themselves feel better. So they spend unnecessary money on things that they don't even need. And this is how you feed into the system. You see, the system keeps us in a hamster wheel. They want us to keep going in this never-ending cycle of foolishness. That's why they show us these, unhealthy things on TV ads. That's why when you go to the movie theaters, they show us more unhealthy things. They show us low vibrational things for a reason. Okay? This is all to keep us feeding into the cycle. They're not showing you a whole bunch of positivity. Once you realize that you can create your own reality, you wouldn't need to feed into the system. This is what keeps you stuck in a box. It's like a trap. See, they don't want you to think outside of the box. That's why they try to tell us how to think. And they don't just sit there and say, oh, I want you to think like this. No, that's not how it works. The reason we should know that they want to dictate how we think is because they paint narratives and they push agendas and they have television programming, which programs us if we're not careful. Okay? And they push agendas. Propaganda is what they spew specifically on the mainstream media. And so when you're seeing these things, what they're doing is they're trying to train you how to think. This is how we want you to think. Pay attention to what we're showing you. That's what they're really saying. It's almost like they're hypnotizing you without sitting right in your living room doing it. Okay? Instead, they've got you sitting right in your living room looking at their own propaganda. This is a form of spiritual warfare. You're not told that it's possible to create your own reality. You're not told that at all. So you just conform to society's expectations of you rather than stepping outside of the box. And here's the thing, because we go to school, we graduate, and what are we expected to do? Let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to stop the share for a minute. We go to school for 12 years, we graduate, and then what are we expected to do? We're expected by society, by our parents, by family, and even friends, we're expected to go to college or get a job, do one or the other, sometimes both. But this is what we're expected to do. And if you stray from the path and say, well, Mom, Dad, I don't want to go to college right away. Well, they say, well, you need to go get a job, but I don't want to go get a job. I want to follow my dream. Well, what's your dream? Well, I want to be a singer. Being a singer is not going to pay the bills. This is what they'll tell you sometimes. I'm just making a scenario. Being a singer is not going to pay the bills. I want to be a comedian. That's not a job, but it is a job. That's my dream job. That's my career. That's what I want to do. No, you need to go to college first. You need to go get a job at Walmart. You see, and then years end up passing in some cases, and then 10 years have gone by before you know it, because time flies quickly, and then you're still at Walmart for 10 years, and you never even been on a stage to perform your comedy. Now your dream is now deferred. Now your dream is dead because you have conformed to what society expects. You have been kept in a box. Reggie said, Mama, I want to sing, honey. That was a good play, Reggie. But at the end of the day, people have expectations of us, and we often feel compelled to live up to their expectations. I believe that when you have children, you should ask your children when they are young, when they are old enough to understand, though, you should ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Children are smart. They will tell you. Now, you may say, oh, they don't know what they want to do. Well, maybe they don't, but sometimes they do. They may want to be something when they're a child. They actually know what they want to be, but as they get older, that may change. But very often, children know what they want to do. You see, when I was a child and my mother asked me what I wanted to be, well, I said I wanted to be a movie star. And then I said I wanted to be a lawyer, right? And so then I said I wanted to be a motivational speaker. It would change. But here's the thing that stayed constant. I still want to be a movie star. Okay. I still want to be a lawyer. That's why I went to school for criminal justice, right? I ended up taking another path, but I would still like to be an attorney. Okay. I still sometimes say, you know what? Maybe I should just go to law school. But at the end of the day, I am a motivational speaker. That's why I have this channel. Okay. I do speaking engagements. So I'm telling you that children, they do know what they want to do. And though it may change, you should still ask them because right there in that moment, they know what they want to do. Okay, children are smarter than some people give them credit for. Remember, children are nothing but little bitty miniature us. That's all. They're just little people. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the share. If anyone has any questions, be sure to put it in the chat and let me know. So, as I said, this is a form of spiritual warfare. And why is it a form of spiritual warfare? Because, like I told you, when you go to this job every day that you don't like, you feel persecuted, you feel downtrodden, you feel annoyed, you just get sick of going. Well, that's taxing on your spirit. Okay. Anything that goes against spirit, anything that starts to kill your spirit, that's absolutely spiritual warfare. Now, they train you to act and think a certain way, but if you think freely, you're deemed as a problem or a conspiracy theorist, etc., like William Cooper and David Icke. These are two free thinkers. Well, William Cooper sadly was assassinated, but one of the first people that I started listening to that woke me up and started putting me up on the matrix and all of the nefarious things, the inner workings of this whole system that we live in and how the world operates. But they deemed both of them conspiracy theorists, when in fact they're truth speakers and truth seekers. And, many people that want us to live a lie or who want to paint false narratives, well, of course, they hate the truth. And some people hate the truth just because their ignorance is bliss. That's very true. Some people don't want to know the truth because they can't handle it. They encourage you to eat a diet of unhealthy foods that may cause you numerous health issues. This is what you see advertised on television all the time. When you go to the movie theater and the previews come on, this is the kind of stuff you see. Now, they know this stuff is very unhealthy. They know it's low vibrational, but they want you to be unhealthy. They need you to be low vibrational. They can control you better when you're low vibrational. They can take, control of the situations that they put us in when you're low vibrational and when you're unhealthy. Okay. This is how pharmaceutical companies make their money. So, of course, they need people to be unhealthy. Pay attention. They make advertisements, movies, and TV programs overly sexual. Even some of the children's programs are too much. Someone sent me a clip from some cartoons yesterday, I think it was. And it was showing these satanic images in children's cartoons. And I have shown you all clips of cartoons before on the other channel of, things that were sexual in children's cartoons, specifically Disney cartoons. So this is what they do. This is all mentally programming. Okay. They hypersexualize as much as they can because this is very low vibrational. This is very low vibrational. And the main thing is to keep us vibrating low. This is all by design to lower your vibrations and to destroy your connection with spirit and to prevent you from rising into your higher self. They secretly brainwash you in front of your face. Is that an oxymoron? because they do it right in front of your face, but it's secretly. How are they secretly doing something when it's right in front of your face? Well, you see, because they know that many people are not going to realize what they're doing because they do it in such a sneaky, covert way by using the most nefarious tactics. And you don't even realize if you're still asleep at the wheel and you haven't awakened from the slumber, stepped aside or unplugged from the matrix, you don't even realize that they're brainwashing you. Social media is a huge distraction for many and full of negativity. The news spews constant propaganda and false narratives. Let me tell you something about social media. Let me tell y'all something about social media. Here's the thing. You see, you have to pay attention because if you're smart, you can use something that they meant for bad, for destruction, and you can use it to evolve, to elevate yourself. You see how on social media, I said you can learn things, you can gain and so much knowledge, and you can share knowledge. That's not what it was meant for. You see, when they first invented social media, it was to keep us distracted, to keep us busy, glued to the screen, glued to our phones, and to just have us, gossiping, spreading rumors and lies, and just doing stuff for clout. That's what it was all about. But see, we changed the game on them. You see, smart people like us, right? I hope everybody in here is smart. I would say so if you're on this channel. You have to be smart. But smart people, we started gathering information and knowledge. We started sharing knowledge with people. We started finding out different things because we started surfing the web, not just looking for beefs. You know how people get on beef online and beef back and forth, leaving little smart comments, going on people's pages, trolling. Those people are just mindless. Those people are mindless. So let me tell you something. I almost got caught up in that. I remember back when I first got on Facebook, I remember somebody was posting comments about people who look like me, and they were saying all kind of crazy stuff. And so some of us were just going back and forth with this person, right? And we were just going in on them. They were going in on us and all that. And so the next day, when I woke up, the first thing I did was grabbed my phone and started looking for the comments to see if they had left any more comments after the last comments that I left the night before. I just want y'all to pay attention. First thing I did, honey, I hadn't even got up and washed my face, brushed my teeth, none of that. I woke up, rolled over in the bed, picked up my phone off the charger, and went right to Facebook and started looking to see, did they leave anything else? Did they say anything else smart? And they did. So then I said something smart. And then I tagged my friends and they started saying something smart. And then what I realized, I want y'all to pay attention. What I realized was that Mr. Hotel says it's easy to fall into a low vibrational trap. Yes. So let me tell y'all what I realized. Now, this was at 6 o'clock in the morning. I just want you all to pay attention. I had waken up at 6 o'clock in the morning. This was on a Saturday. Oh, I sat there. I kept going back and forth. I was letting them have it. I was like, yeah, I told them. And then I was posting receipts. Okay? Claudette said, you've done that too on Facebook. Yes. I was posting receipts. Okay? And so then what I realized was hours had passed. I looked up at the clock and I said, wait a minute. No, I think someone called me or something. And they were like, Queen, you still going to Little 5 Points today? Because I like to go to Little 5 Points on Saturdays every now and then to get me some stones and crystals and all that. And some little, stuff for my yoga or my meditation and stuff. And so me and my friend had said we were going to Little 5 Points that day. So my friend called me and was like, Queen, you still going to Little 5 Points? You ready? And I'm like, ready? Child, I've been sitting here on Facebook going back and forth. So when I realized that I had fallen into this trap, I said, you know what? Let me not do this ever again. This is clearly low vibrational, and also it's not productive at all. I sat there and said to myself, I have literally been going back and forth with this fool or fools, because there were several of them going against us. But I said, I've literally been going back and forth with these fools for like 4 hours. For like 4 hours. I said, I can't do that. Do you know how much work I could have gotten done in 4 hours? I could have done the laundry. I could have mopped my kitchen. I could have vacuumed the carpet. I could have done so much more things with those 4 hours. Like, what are you thinking, lady? This is what I said to myself. So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then peer pressure. Let me say this. So I have these two nefarious people. Silent D is one of them. Silent D is my moderator. And this other nefarious person named Dominique Devereaux. Now, Dominique used to be a moderator, but that's a good friend of mine. So Dominique and Silent D got on Twitter one day. This was a couple of maybe 3 years ago. Maybe about 2.5, 3 years ago. But they got on Twitter and they were beefing with a Karen. And so then Dominique tags me and then tags Silent D. And before I realize it, before I catch myself, here I go back into the trap again. I'm going in on Karen with them. And so then Reggie said his ears are watering. So then we're going in on Karen so bad. Kathy B said Twitter beef, yes. So we're going in on Karen so bad that Karen deletes her entire account. That's how bad we gave her the business. Karen deleted her entire account. And now once she deleted her account, we're all cracking up, laughing like we just won, an Oscar or something. And then when I got off of Twitter, after we ran the lady off Twitter, I said to myself, now come on now, Queen, what did you three knuckleheads just accomplish? I wish Silent D was in here because he knows he did it. But I was like, what did you three knuckleheads accomplish? Okay, so y'all ran the lady off Twitter. There's millions of more people just as racist as her that's on Twitter. Like, what did that do besides waste y'all's time? So I told Dominique Devereaux, do not ever, you and Silent D, don't y'all be tagging me. Okay, when y'all beefing with somebody on Twitter, do not tag me because I'm not even going to respond. And so that's what I did about that. I don't have Twitter beefs and all that stuff, whatever. Every now and then, if someone leaves me a little slick comment, I might say something to it or whatever. But I don't get all into that because it's just counterproductive. I'm just saying. Claudette said a guilty pleasure. Well, you all know that's just me being petty, right? Y'all know Pisces are petty. That's where all that comes from. But see, the difference is I know how to put my pettiness in check. And I know how to stop myself. Once I realize that I'm going down the wrong road or I'm just doing something that's not productive, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, Queen. Check yourself, okay? Before you wreck yourself. Okay? Yeah, so anyway, let me go back to the share. So, as I was saying, they secretly brainwash you right in front of your face. Social media is a big distraction. They purposely make social media addicting because whether you know this or not, your focus is a superpower, but you often can't stay focused. Hashtag pay attention. You see, that's the thing. This is why I always am telling you all when I'm talking about something during a live stream and I say pay attention, you all think that I'm just saying that for kicks and giggles, I believe. No, when I'm telling you pay attention, I'm telling you that because that's something important that you need to retain. Because a lot of times, some of you all are in the chat, giving your attention to the trolls. Some of you are having sideline conversations. You're not really absorbing everything that's being said. It's like in that movie where one of the Wayans brothers kept saying, message. That's why I do it. When I say pay attention, when I'm doing my TikToks or when I'm on a live, I'm trying to get you to notice what's being said so you don't miss it. I'm trying to get you to focus. Some of you can't focus. You can for a minute, but then you get sidetracked, easily distracted, like with trolls specifically. Okay, but it's very important for you to focus. Focus, that is a superpower. Some people cannot focus. I'm very good at focusing. That's why I notice things that the average person will not notice. I notice these things, okay? Because I'm focused. I'm always paying attention. Hashtag pay attention. Okay, now they know what they know that where your attention goes, right? Or your focus, they know where your attention goes. That's where your energy flows. Okay. And remember, they live off of our energy. If you remember, those of you who are my day ones, you remember that when I first started YouTube back in 2020, it was a month before the pandemic. And when the pandemic started, I told everybody, I said, this is fear mongering. I'm not saying that it isn't dangerous or serious, but what I'm saying is they're trying to instill fear in us to lower our vibrations. I told you all that. Every time you turn on the news, it was just all this negative stuff. It was always this and that, just a bunch of fear mongering to lower our vibrations. And if you remember, I specifically brought that up and I told you all we were in spiritual warfare when they were saying, oh, people can't go to church. You can't have your business open unless it's an essential business. Well, who deems what business is essential? Because what may be essential to them may not be essential to some of us. And what may be essential to some of us may not be to them. But remember, they didn't even want people going to church. And I said, you know what? That is just BS. Because church is essential for some people. You see, people who are used to going to church to fellowship, and that's how they practice their spirituality. They may not be spiritual how we practice it, but that's how they practice their spirituality. That's how they commune with the higher power. So that is essential as far as I was concerned. And I said, so if they're sitting here telling people that you have to stay in the house, you can't go to church, and then they're doing all this fear mongering, that's very much so lowering your vibration. Another thing that I said and pointed out was the fact that, in the Bible, it says when two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. So basically, when there's a group of people on one accord praying together, all praying for the same thing, well, that makes a much more powerful energy. And that can help to manifest and to answer the prayers. You see, you can answer your own prayers through the power of manifestation. Now, technically, the Most High answers your prayers because the Most High is the one who gives us the ability to manifest and create our reality. So even though we're doing it ourselves, the Most High is the engineer of all of that. Okay? But we can do it ourselves. That's why they say God helps those who help themselves. All right? And so this is why they direct your attention somewhere else. They point you in the wrong direction, so to speak. So they don't want you focusing on something that's productive. They want you focusing on something that's destructive. That's what they want. And by they, I mean the powers that shouldn't be. Now, it's time to take back your energy. When you start to focus on yourself internally, then you will realize that all you need is within you. The kingdom of God is within you, right? Everything you need is within you. You realize that you no longer need to feed into the matrix. And that's what they don't want. They don't want you to ever realize that. They want you to feel like you need society. And let me tell you something else too. You know how, if you think about it, the people in charge, basically, they have such the problem with anyone. I want you all to think about this. They have such the problem with people who, how do I want to say this? With people who, I'm going to stop to share for a minute. They have such an issue with people in society who want to separate. And I'm not talking about separating because of race or anything like that. I'm saying there are some people in society who want to separate. Like they want to be out from under the control of the government. Like the people who say they're sovereign. Okay? These people, like people that they say are cults, are in a cult, like with David Koresh and the Branch Davidians. Do you think those people really cared, the feds and all of them? Do you think they really cared if the people thought that David Koresh was Jesus? Do you think that's why they really cared? Why they, were upset and bothered? You see, what it is when a group of people doesn't want to conform and they want to separate themselves, they start worrying, and they, being the powers that shouldn't be, they start thinking, well, wait a minute. What if this movement that they have grows? and they're not going along with our narrative and agenda, and they're giving us pushback. We cannot let this continue. We've got to do something about them. They're dangerous to society. They start saying things like that, even though the people have not done anything dangerous thus far. And then they either lock the people up or the people turn up deleted. And then when this all happens, they can paint whatever narratives they want, because now these people are no longer here. You see, let me give you an example. So they said down there in Waco, Texas, they said that David Koresh deleted himself and those children, and people in there and all that stuff. That's what they said. Now, that's what they said. How do we know that's true? I'm going to tell you, my professor in college gave us some very important information about that whole thing and said that no, it was the FBI that deleted those people. It was the FBI that had been sitting outside for a month at least, playing with the little children when they would come out and run up to the fence. Those same little children that they played with and spoke to through the fence, they didn't mind deleting them when that compound was set on fire. But they demonized David Koresh. And I'm not saying he was perfect and didn't do anything wrong. But what I'm saying is they demonized him and acted as though he did all of that when he did not. When he did not. There is a guy that I'm going to do a story about on my true crime channel. How many of you heard about Ruby Ridge? One's in the chat if you know about Ruby Ridge. Now, there was an incident that happened at Ruby Ridge years ago, and this man was supposed to be a separatist. That's what they deemed him, a separatist. He and his wife and son, they lived off in the woods by themselves. Okay? They lived off in the woods by themselves, and they went after that man and his family. So I'm not going to get into the specifics, because I'm going to talk about that, because that's always been a very interesting story to me. Now, they say that the guy, Randy, I forget his last name, but they say he was a wanton supremacist. Well, he may have been. That's not what's important. My thing is, if people want to live off in the woods by themselves, then let them. Okay? But no, they don't want you to live off by yourself. They want you under their lock and key. And if you remember, when President Obama was in office, he actually said that he was going to make it illegal for people to live off grid. Why do you care if people live off grid? That's because they want complete and utter control. That's what that is. And they can't have control over people who are woke. Like I said, a bunch of woke people, a bunch of people who know about self and have self-awareness and who are high vibrational and know about your superpowers of focusing and about your spirituality and staying in tune. They cannot control these types of people. And so they delete these types of people. Look at William Cooper. Look at Gary Webb and many others. Prince, Michael Jackson, I'm just saying. So they want you to stay plugged into the matrix. This is why when people start to wake up, they are called crazy or conspiracy theorists. The term woke has even been demonized. Now they talk about, this woke culture. The woke Democrats, the woke Republicans. Now woke is such a bad word. Well, it actually isn't, but it's a word for empowerment and a word for people who have, reached a new level of consciousness. But the ones who awaken are not conspiracy theorists. We are the co-creators of the universe who can create our reality. Abundance is our birthright. We have the right to live the life of our dreams and the right to live as we choose. And by that, I mean legally. I'm not talking about going out here being nefarious, but you get what I'm saying. The pursuit of happiness. That's what we all are entitled to. And we don't have to ask them to make laws to do it. We're supposed to be able to live in abundance, which they purposely try to stop people from living in abundance because they want people to be slaves. They want people to be under the control of the government and to need the government. as we're going to see just how much so when this digital currency rolls out. Spirituality in the quantum world will show you the unseen. Life was not meant to be stressful or troublesome. You're not supposed to hate your job or hate going to work each day. That makes you a slave. You may get a check, but I want you to pay attention. I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. You're supposed to enjoy life. You are here to live life and love, not suffer and struggle until you reach the end. That's for the birds. But that's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to do. And I'm going to ask you this. So think about it. The slaves were held captive. The slaves had to go out and work 16 to 18 hours a day, only one day off. That was on Sundays. When they had church, there was always someone overseeing and watching the service to make sure they weren't talking about anything they didn't have any business, or that they weren't conspiring or anything like that. I'm sure they hated to go to work in those hot cotton fields, fingers bleeding after they picked so much cotton and all of that. Now, how is it? What is the difference between a person who gets up every day, goes to work for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, at a job that they hate, where they feel persecuted, they're not happy, they're stressed out? It becomes a task, right? So what's the difference? Well, you could say, well, they get paid. The slaves didn't get paid. But yeah, the slaves didn't get paid and they do now. But here's the thing. If you just work a regular 9 to 5, not your dream job, not having a career, you're just working a minuscule job like many people do, and you get paid at the end of the week, and then once a month, you have to pay bills. So you got to pay your car note. If you have one, you got to pay your mortgage or your rent. You have to buy groceries. You have to put gas in your car. You have to pay for childcare if you have children under the age. You have to pay the light bill, the gas bill, the phone bill. All I'm saying is this. That's still slavery. You see, on the one hand, they let you get a job. You get paid from the job, but they pile so much debt on you. You have so many bills. You even pay for things that should be free. There's no way we should have to pay for electricity. Electricity is a natural resource. There's no way we should have to pay for water and gas. But they charge us for it. They charge us for it. No one should have to pay for a home. There should be no such thing as rent and mortgage. We should be able to build our own houses and live free. That's what they did back in the old days. So what I'm saying is, though you have a job and you get paid, that same money that you worked so hard for, you have to turn right around and give that money right back to the powers that shouldn't be, is all I'm saying. I want you to pay attention. You have to turn around and give it right back to them. So are you really not a slave? Are you really not a slave? The slave works all week, day in, day out, sun up to sundown, and got paid nothing. You work all week, sometimes sun up to sundown, and you get paid. And then as soon as you get your check and pay bills, what's left? Sometimes very little. So all I'm saying is it's a never-ending, perpetuating cycle. And as I've told you on numerous of times, they continue to do the same things. They just call it something different. And they'll give you just a little bit more to make you think that you're getting something, to make you think that you're free, but you're not free. You're not free. They say this is the land of the free and the home of the brave. No, we're not free. We live under a government that dictates and controls. And even when they see that they have a little bit of control or they have or lacking a little bit of control, they start figuring out ways to gain more of it. Okay? This is what they do. This is spiritual warfare, people. And what we don't have time to do is to waste our time foolishly, arguing amongst ourselves over things that we don't want to hear, like who's grifting and who isn't. Listen, if somebody's grifting, just say they're grifting. If you don't want to say they're grifting, well, don't get mad at those that do, because I'm going to call it out. You see, because here's the thing that a lot of people are going to find out. When the shite hits the fan, and it's not gonna, it's gonna happen overnight. I just want you all to know. It's going to happen overnight. Really, it's not overnight because it's been leading up to it. But what I'm saying is what's going to happen is we're going to wake up one day and they're going to say, oh, the economy has crashed. The dollar is completely collapsed. Here's what's going on, America. That's going to happen overnight. You're going to get that news one morning, one day, and it's going to be like it happened all overnight. But here's the thing. Some people will have foolishly spent a lot of their hard-earned money to people who have tricked them, defrauded them, scammed them, and conned them. And those people are going to be sitting pretty over in Hawaii, taking vacations and trips. But the people who gave them the funds to do so are going to be the ones that are in desperate need. And they're going to be wishing so hard that they had kept and held on to that money that they just frivolously gave away to people who don't even really care about them and people who are not going to be there to help them when it all goes bad. Okay? And that's why those of us who speak against people that are grifters in our community, that's why we do so. No, some people can't understand that we're doing things for your own good. When they say, oh, well, what are you doing for your people? Well, that's something I'm doing for my people, amongst many other things. But some people, it's just like, I want you to think about this before I close out. When we were children, when we were in high school specifically, remember how our parents used to tell us things and we didn't want to hear it, and we thought they were just being so strict and they were just getting on our nerves? Like, for example, if there was a house in the neighborhood, there could have been a specific house in the neighborhood that you weren't allowed to go hang out at. Your mother would say, no, don't let me catch you over there. And I'm like, why? I said you're not allowed to go there. Don't let me find out you was over there. There was a house like that in my neighborhood. Okay? I had a friend who lived in this house. And I would be like, well, how come I can't go over there? My mother said, just mind your business. Don't let me catch you over there. But then later, my mother eventually told me that it was a drug house. Now, I didn't know it. This was a nice house. It wasn't like a crack house or anything like that. We didn't live in the hood. This was a nice neighborhood. But they were selling things out of the house. Now, they didn't have a whole bunch of people coming in and out like you see it on TV. But they were discreetly doing it. And the person who was living there, he was like a businessman, but that's something that he just did. And he had these big time business people that worked with him, and that's who he was selling it to. So my mother was like, no, that's not a good idea. So I wasn't allowed to go there. But at the time, it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, why can't I just go over to my friend's house? But I'm just saying, sometimes parents tell us things that are for our own good, but we can't see that it's for our own good. So we want to push back. We don't want to listen. Our parents could say, don't be riding with this person because I don't like the way they drive, or, they're too reckless or whatever, but you don't want to hear it. So you sneak and do it. At the end of the day, that's all I'm saying. That's how some people are when it comes to other people telling them the truth about certain people or certain situations. They don't want to hear it, and they can't see because they don't have the foresight to comprehend that you're actually doing them a favor or trying to do them a favor, and you're telling them something for their own good. Sometimes, sadly, people have to learn the hard way. So now in these trying times that we're going through, beloveds, it would behoove you to not have to learn things the hard way. If you really watch closely, focus, and pay attention, then sometimes you can actually learn from other people's mistakes. You don't have to make that mistake. Okay? If I see Mr. Hotel crossing the street without looking, and then somebody comes plowing down the street and he has to jump out of the way, and in doing so, he loses one of his Gucci shoes. Well, I know to look both ways. I know not to just be on my phone texting or running my mouth and looking all around here and there and not paying attention like Mr. Hotel just did. Just saying. You can learn from other people's mistakes. You don't have to make the same mistakes. And those who don't want to listen when the truth is being spewed, they will one day eventually find themselves being bound by lies. Okay? So with that all being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please like the video, and also don't forget there's another video starting at 7:15. Okay, about the importance of meditation for your health and for your well-being, your spiritual well-being, and also how the chakras are connected, okay, to the process. So with that all being said, you're welcome, Nessie X. With that all being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in. All right, I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives.